Most people think the secret to getting ahead financially is making more money, but there's another way. And it doesn't require a raise, a promotion, or a career change. It requires moving to the right city. Because here's what most people never calculate. The same salary that feels tight in one city can feel like a completely different income somewhere else. Same paycheck, different life. Texas has always had a reputation for affordability, but not every city in Texas delivers on that equally. Some cities stretch your income in ways that are genuinely hard to believe until you run the numbers. Others look affordable on paper, but eat through your paycheck faster than you'd expect. Today, we're breaking down 10 Texas cities where your salary goes the furthest in 2026, not just the cheapest places to live, the places where your income actually changes what your life looks like. And one city on this list could save you over $1,400 a month compared to what you're paying right now. Starting at number 10, Beaumont. And this one surprises a lot of people. Beaumont sits in southeast Texas, about 85 miles east of Houston. It doesn't get the attention that Austin gets. It doesn't show up on the relocation lists that San Antonio shows up on. But for buyers and renters who need their income to actually work, Beaumont deserves a serious look. The cost of living here sits below the national average. Housing is significantly cheaper than the Houston metro. And the local economy isn't built on one thing. Petrochemical, healthcare, education, and port logistics all run simultaneously here. That economic diversity creates something most affordable cities can't offer: job options at multiple income levels. The Spindletop Gladys City Boomtown Museum sits right in town, marking the site of the 1901 oil strike that launched the modern petroleum industry. That history isn't just cultural, it's the reason the energy sector infrastructure here runs so deep. The honest trade-off is real though. Beaumont's growth rate is slower than most cities on this list. It's not a city people are rushing into. And the broader lifestyle infrastructure, dining, entertainment, nightlife, is thinner than you'd find in a larger market. But here's what that actually means for your finances. Less to spend money on means more money staying in your pocket. For remote workers, energy sector professionals, or anyone who needs a lower cost base without sacrificing employment access, Beaumont is one of the most underrated salary stretch markets in Southeast Texas right now. Most people never even consider it. That's exactly why it opens this list. Now, this is where the list starts to open up, because Tyler doesn't just offer affordability. It offers affordability with a quality of life attached to it. Located in East Texas, about 90 miles east of Dallas, Tyler has been quietly building a reputation as one of the better mid-sized cities in the state for people who need their money to go further without sacrificing what makes a city feel livable. Homes here are sitting in the low to mid $200,000 range. Rent is meaningfully below what you'd pay in Dallas or Austin. And the day-to-day cost of living, groceries, utilities, transportation, runs below the national average across the board. But here's what separates Tyler from a pure affordability play. The city has a genuine downtown, a real food scene that surprises people who visit for the first time. The Tyler Rose Garden, the largest municipal rose garden in the United States, sits right in the city. Over 38,000 rose bushes across 14 acres. That's not a small amenity. That's the kind of thing that makes a city feel like somewhere rather than just somewhere cheap. UT Tyler anchors the education and healthcare employment base. And for remote workers, the combination of low cost and genuine livability is exactly the value proposition that's been pulling people out of the DFW metro quietly for the past several years. The honest trade-off is real. Tyler's job market outside healthcare and education is narrow. If you need a wide range of employment options, that limitation matters. But if your income is already established and you need a city where it stretches further, Tyler is one of the strongest quality of life per dollar buys in East Texas right now. Temple is where the salary stretch story gets a central Texas address, and that matters more than most people realize. Located an hour north of Austin on I-35, Temple gives you something most affordable Texas cities can't offer: proximity to one of the most economically active corridors in the entire country, without paying corridor prices to live there. Homes here are sitting in the high $200,000. Rent runs significantly below what you'd pay in Austin or Round Rock. And the cost of living across the board stays below the national average. But here's what makes Temple different from a typical affordability market. The Baylor Scott and White Medical Center is the largest employer in the city and one of the largest healthcare systems in all of Central Texas. Yet that institutional anchor means Temple's economy doesn't rise and fall with tech cycles or corporate relocations. It runs on healthcare, and healthcare doesn't slow down. For nurses, doctors, administrators, and healthcare professionals of any kind, Temple is one of the few cities in Texas where your salary in a high-demand field goes further than almost anywhere else in the state. The Santa Fe Railroad arrived in Temple in 1881, and the city was literally built around it. That infrastructure history is part of why the I-35 corridor runs straight through, and why Temple's location advantage has never gone away. The honest trade-off is straightforward. Temple's identity outside the medical center is still developing. The entertainment and cultural infrastructure is thinner than Austin, and for buyers who want the full Central Texas experience, the gap is still real. But for healthcare professionals, remote workers, and families who need Austin access without Austin pricing, Temple is one of the highest value per dollar cities on this entire list. Same corridor, fraction of the cost? Waco is where the salary stretch story gets a location advantage that most people haven't fully priced in yet. Because Waco doesn't just offer affordability, it offers affordability at the intersection of two of the largest cities in Texas. Dallas to the north, Austin to the south, both within 2 hours on I-35. That access at Waco's price point doesn't exist anywhere else in the state. Homes here are sitting below the state median. Most buyers finding solid options in the mid to high $200,000. Rent runs well below what you'd pay in either metro, and the overall cost of living sits below the national average. But here's the part most people miss. Your salary doesn't just stretch further in Waco because housing is cheaper. It stretches further across every category: groceries, utilities, dining out, healthcare. In the day-to-day financial pressure that grinds people down in larger cities simply doesn't exist at the same level here. Baylor University anchors the local economy, bringing enrollment, employment, research funding, and the economic activity that follows all of it. And the Magnolia Market at the Silos draws over 1 million visitors a year to a downtown that has genuinely transformed over the last decade. That transformation matters for your quality of life. This isn't a city that feels like a financial compromise. It feels like a city that figured something out before everyone else did. The honest trade-off is real. Waco's job market outside Baylor and the service economy is still limited. Remote work is carrying a lot of the weight for the buyers choosing this city. But for remote workers, young families, and anyone who needs metro access without metro pricing, Waco is one of the most complete salary stretch cities on this list. Same income, genuinely different financial life. Killeen is where the salary stretch story gets structural backing that no other city on this list can match. Because the affordability here isn't driven by trend or timing. It's built into the foundation of the city itself. Fort Cavazos, one of the largest military installations in the United States, creates a permanent economic floor that doesn't fluctuate with market cycles. That stability does something unusual for an affordable market. It keeps demand steady while keeping costs low simultaneously. Homes here average around $225,000. The overall cost of living runs 9% below the national average. And for a city of this size, the employment base is surprisingly diverse. Healthcare, retail, education, and the entire civilian economy that grows around a major military installation all run in parallel. Here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. Killeen's affordability isn't just about housing. A single adult can live comfortably in Killeen on an income that would feel genuinely tight in Dallas or Austin. That gap between what you earn and what you spend is where financial breathing room actually comes from. And Killeen creates more of that gap than almost any comparably sized city in Central Texas. Copperas Cove sits right next door, a smaller community with even lower price points and a pace of life that military families and retirees specifically seek out. The honest trade-off is real. Job diversity outside the military economy is limited, and for buyers who need a wide civilian employment base in a specific industry, Killeen requires a longer look. But for military families, remote workers, retirees, and first-time buyers who need their income to create actual financial margin, Killeen is one of the most structurally sound salary stretch markets in Texas right now. The affordability here isn't going anywhere. It's baked in. If you're finding this breakdown useful, go ahead and subscribe. This is exactly the kind of content we're building here every week. Now, the first half of this list was about cities where your salary stretches further than most people expect. The second half is different. These are the cities where the numbers become genuinely hard to argue with, where the gap between what you earn and what you spend creates a financial picture that most Texans living in major metros will never experience. Pay attention here, because this is where the real salary stretch story lives. Brownsville is where this list starts making arguments that are difficult to ignore. Located at the southern tip of Texas on the Mexican border, Brownsville is one of the most affordable cities in the entire United States. Not just Texas, the entire country. The cost of living here runs 14 to 19% below the national average depending on the source. Housing sits 26% below the national average. Groceries run 13% below. Healthcare runs 8% below. Almost every category of daily spending costs less here than it does almost anywhere else in the country. And the home prices reflect that. Median home values sitting under $200,000 in many areas. For a city of over 180,000 people, that pricing is extraordinary. The Gladys Porter Zoo sits right in town, consistently ranked among the top zoos in the country for its naturalistic habitats and collection. Over 1,600 animals across 26 acres in the middle of an affordable border city that most buyers have never seriously considered. Now, this is the part most people miss. Brownsville's economy has been quietly expanding. SpaceX's Starbase facility sits just outside the city in Boca Chica. That's not a small employer moving into the neighborhood. That's one of the most ambitious aerospace operations in the world, landing in a market where your housing costs 26% less than the national average. The honest trade-off is real. Brownsville's job market outside aerospace, healthcare, and the border economy is limited. The distance from major Texas metros is significant. And the infrastructure, while improving, is still catching up to the growth that SpaceX is beginning to generate. But for remote workers, retirees, and buyers who need their income to create maximum financial margin, Brownsville is one of the most powerful salary stretch cities on this entire list. The numbers here aren't subtle, they're dramatic. Amarillo is where the salary stretch story gets a wide-open Texas backdrop that changes how the numbers feel. Because affordability in a cramped city and affordability in a city with genuine space are two completely different experiences. And Amarillo has space. Located in the Texas Panhandle on I-40, the historic Route 66 corridor, Amarillo sits at the crossroads of a region that doesn't get enough credit for what it delivers financially. The cost of living index here sits at 83.3. That means everyday life in Amarillo costs about 17% less than the national average. Homes are sitting around $200,000 to $215,000. Rent averages well below what you'd pay in any major Texas metro. And the day-to-day costs, groceries, utilities, transportation, run consistently below the national average across every category. But here's what makes Amarillo more than just a cheap place to live. Cadillac Ranch sits just west of the city on I-40. 10 Cadillacs buried nose first in the Texas dirt since 1974. It's become one of the most visited art installations in the entire country. That kind of cultural landmark doesn't happen in a city without identity. Amarillo has identity. The economy runs on agriculture, energy, and healthcare, three sectors that don't evaporate when a tech cycle turns. And the Pantex plant, the only nuclear weapon weapons assembly and disassembly facility in the United States sits just outside the city, creating a layer of federal employment stability that most people don't associate with an affordable Panhandle market. The honest trade-off is real. Amarillo is geographically isolated. The Panhandle is not close to anything. If your life requires proximity to a major metro, this doesn't work, and the job market outside agriculture, energy, and healthcare is limited. But for remote workers, retirees, and buyers who want maximum financial margin with genuine Texas character, Amarillo is one of the most underrated salary stretch cities in the entire state. Your money doesn't just go further here, it goes noticeably further every single month. Abilene is where this list starts to get serious, because Abilene doesn't just offer affordability, it offers affordability that's actively getting more attention, which means the window for getting in at current prices is narrower than it looks. Home prices here average around $235,000. That's well below the Texas state average, and the overall cost of living runs comfortably below the national average across housing, groceries, utilities, and healthcare. But here's what separates Abilene from every other affordable city on this list. The market is moving. Home prices rose 5.3% year over year in 2025. Homes that used to sit on the market for 70 days are now moving in 39. Abilene was cited by the Texas Realtors Association as having one of the largest increases in closed sales of any market in the entire state last year. And that's not a city sitting still. That's a city being discovered in real time. The Abilene Zoo sits right in the city, consistently rated one of the best mid-sized zoos in the country. Adventure Cove Water Park, Lake Fort Phantom just outside town, Hendrick Health anchoring the healthcare employment base. 3 universities, Abilene Christian, Hardin-Simmons, and McMurray, creating an educational infrastructure that punches well above the city's size. This is the part most people miss about Abilene. It doesn't feel like a compromise. It feels like a city that has everything a family needs, just without the price tag that usually comes with it. The honest trade-off is straightforward. Abilene is geographically isolated. West Texas means distance from major metros. If proximity to Dallas or Austin is non-negotiable, this doesn't work. But for remote workers, families, retirees, and buyers who need their salary to create genuine financial breathing room, Abilene is one of the strongest all-around salary stretch cities on this entire list. Affordable today. And the data suggests it won't stay this affordable for long. Lubbock is where the salary stretch story becomes almost mathematical, because the numbers here are specific enough to change how you think about your current city. The cost of living index in Lubbock sits at 81. To put that in context, the national average is 100. The Texas state average is 94. Lubbock beats both by a significant margin. The average rent for an apartment in Lubbock is $857 a month. The national average is $1,639. That's not a small difference. That's $782 a month staying in your pocket just from rent alone. A single adult can live comfortably in Lubbock on around $39,000 a year. In Austin, that same lifestyle costs dramatically more. In Dallas, it costs more. In Houston, it costs more. Lubbock sits at the bottom of that comparison, or in the best possible way. Home prices are sitting in the low to mid $200,000, and the economy is anchored by one of the most powerful institutional forces in West Texas, Texas Tech University. Enrollment over 40,000 students, a medical school, a law school, a research infrastructure that generates economic activity well beyond the campus. Buddy Holly was born here. The Buddy Holly Hall of Performing Arts and Sciences opened in 2020, a world-class venue in a city where the cost of a night out won't hurt your budget the next morning. The honest trade-off is real. Lubbock is geographically isolated. West Texas means distance from everything, and the job market outside Texas Tech and healthcare is limited for certain industries. But for remote workers, healthcare professionals, educators, and families who need their income to create real financial margin, Lubbock delivers numbers that most Texas cities simply cannot match. Same salary, genuinely different financial life, and the data backs every word of that. Wichita Falls is number 1 on this list for one reason that the data makes impossible to argue with. No city in Texas stretches your salary further, not one. The cost of living here runs 10% below the national average. Homes are averaging around $220,000. And when researchers compared what it actually costs to live comfortably in Wichita Falls versus major Texas metros, the gap came out to over $1,400 a month in savings. That's not a rounding error. That's $16,800 a year staying in your bank account. That's a car payment eliminated, a college fund started, a financial cushion built just from choosing the right city. Lucy Park sits along the Wichita River, right in the middle of the city. Over 100 acres of trails, picnic areas, and green space that locals use year-round. Lake Wichita sits just south of downtown. Boating, fishing, and waterfront recreation without waterfront pricing. Shepherd Air Force Base anchors a significant portion of the local economy, bringing federal employment stability and a consistent housing demand that keeps the market grounded. The Wichita Falls Museum of Art at Midwestern State University gives the city a cultural anchor that surprises people who've never spent time here. And Midwestern State University itself creates an educational and healthcare employment base that runs independent of any single industry cycle. Now, this is the part most people miss about Wichita Falls. The conversation about this city almost never happens. It doesn't show up in the relocation content. It doesn't trend on social media. It doesn't get the think pieces that Austin and Dallas get. And that invisibility is precisely what has kept its affordability intact. Cities get expensive when people discover them. Wichita Falls hasn't been discovered yet, not at scale. The honest trade-off is real. Wichita Falls has seen some population decline over the past decade as younger residents left for larger job markets. The entertainment and nightlife infrastructure is thinner than what you'd find in a larger city. And for buyers who need a wide range of employment options in a specific industry, the job market here has real limitations outside the military, healthcare, and education sectors. But here's the bottom line. If your goal is to take your current income and make it feel like more, if you want the gap between what you earn and what you spend to actually create financial freedom, there is no city in Texas that delivers on that promise more completely than Wichita Falls right now. $1,400 a month every month just from being in the right place. So here's what this list actually tells you. Your salary isn't fixed, but your cost of living is a choice. And that choice, made city by city, zip code by zip code, is one of the most powerful financial decisions you will ever make. If you need the absolute lowest cost floor in Texas right now, Wichita Falls and Brownsville are where your income creates the most margin. If you want affordability with genuine livability attached, Abilene, Lubbock, and Amarillo give you a full life at a fraction of what it costs in a major metro. If you need Central Texas access without Central Texas pricing, Temple and Waco put you on the I-35 corridor. At a price point, the corridor itself can no longer deliver. And if you want East Texas character with a cost of living that still makes sense, Tyler and Beaumont are where that combination still exists. But here's the most important thing to take from this video. Every month you spend in a city that costs more than it should is a month of financial margin you don't get back. The cities on this list aren't consolation prizes. They're the places where people who understand the math are quietly building financial lives that the people paying Austin and Dallas prices can't afford to build. Same salary, completely different outcome. If you're serious about making your income work harder in Texas, these are the markets you need to be looking at right now, not after prices in these cities catch up. Now, because by the time these cities show up in headlines, the opportunity is already gone. Which city on this list surprised you most? Or which one are you already considering? Drop it in the comments below. And if you want deeper individual breakdowns on any of these markets, make sure you're subscribed, because that's exactly what this channel is building toward.